Well, first of all, Jed, thanks for spending some time with us, 30 minutes or so this afternoon, to talk about the future of VDI and what that looks like from your perspective, from a leader's perspective. So with that being said, I think the first thing we should do is set the tone about, maybe tell us a bit about who you are, where you come from, your background, and how you ended up at ControlUp. Maybe we'll start there, and then we'll layer it into the future of VDI.
Sure. Well, I've been in end user compute for almost 30 years. Hard to believe, but yeah, I started my career actually as a solution provider. Spent the first half of my career working for large end user compute focused solution provider. So have a great amount of empathy and respect for what you guys do and bring to the table every day. I think some of the greatest entrepreneurs I've ever met are definitely in the solution provider space. And then in 2014, I actually moved over to AppSense and moved over to the software side of the world. So spent the last decade basically at AppSense and then iGel and now ControlUp. So it's been a remarkable, three different companies. And yeah, iGel was amazing. The almost 8 years I spent there. And yeah, started at ControlUp in August of last year.
So coming out of that and your background, I'd love to understand, you were kind of known as the community guy. You invest in community, you help build communities. So the simple question is why? Why invest in communities?
Well, I think that, first of all, community is one of those things that is as old as time. You look at the places where people live the longest, and community is always a big part of it. And I think in software and technology, you can't do it with one piece of technology. You need multiple. You need an ecosystem, and around that ecosystem, you need human beings, right? Because technology is nothing without humans. And so that's kind of how I see it, is that you need people that understand the technology and how to bring it together. And yeah, community is a powerful weapon. And I look at the best companies in the world, like Salesforce is probably a great example, where you have incredibly rich ecosystems, but also the human component of that is highly nurtured.
Okay. So you built a massive following in the iGel community. We're going completely off script, Moin, don't kill me. And then you're building out the ControlUp community, and now we hear about Dexy. Tell me about Dexy. It's such a cool word.
Yeah. Well, I think what we saw over the last sort of 6-8 months was that some of the sort of pillars of the end user compute community, from Citrix and VMware, were kind of in flux with the changes that were happening there. And so we saw a huge opportunity to kind of come in with this digital employee experience technology, which really is kind of bringing together the physical world and the virtual world, and like actually reinvigorate the community around a piece of technology that's super interesting. It's a bit disruptive, and ultimately, when you really peel back end user compute, it's always about the experience, right? It's about delivering a great experience so that people can get their job done.
So Jed, I have seen you even at iGel, how you turned that company around. So especially in short span of time that you were leader with that company went skyrocketed in terms of adaptation, how people are using it. Now you're with ControlUp. So you see the vision, you see where VDI and things are going. Now, what do you, in ControlUp, what do you see as the potential coming 5 year, 10 year down the line on what the product has to offer to this community? So to what Barry asked about community, and also to the end user community as an end user computing.
Yeah, so I guess what excites me about being at ControlUp is that obviously I loved being at iGel, and it was a great transformational story, and really fun to work with the Germans and bring a technology that was obscured inside of hardware into the U.S. as a piece of software, and it was very disruptive. Hence, while we're sitting here, the name Disrupt. And yeah, it was all the hard things you ever have to do in technology, right? A hardware to software. Bring a piece of German technology into the U.S., go to from perpetual to subscription, actually from no recurring revenue to perpetual to subscription, and then a private equity sale. So it was like a lot of amazing different transformations over the course of 8 years. But yeah, at ControlUp, what gets me super excited is the addition of the sort of physical piece of it. We have the ability to sort of address the entire fabric of end user compute and at a time when the world really needs it, right? And so it's this idea of calibrating the entire set of applications, devices, network, and looking at that holistically in real time, and then applying AI to that data set, right? And I think for so long I've lived in this world of end user compute where you have so much cost borne out in managing and securing devices, and it actually hasn't changed that much. It may have gotten even worse in the 30
Yep.
years I've been in this space, right? You talk to CIOs and they're like, I got 20, 30 agents on this image to secure it. I've got multiple tools to patch it. I've got one person to maybe 300, 500 devices. So, and then on the other side, you still have employees that are as frustrated as ever with long login times, data corruption, updates that take forever, right? It's a lot of pain on both sides. So where I see digital employee experience very interesting is that all of a sudden you've got this real-time telemetry and you're applying AI to it in a way that you can take cost out on this side and you can improve performance at a speed and scale that the world's never seen before. It's very interesting. It's quite disruptive, right? Because this space is ripe for being disrupted, is what I would tell you.
Yeah.
And it can, and it consolidates a lot of tools that are out there today that are point solutions in ITSM or RMM or some of these other patch and management tools. You're bringing it all together, and at the end of the day, I will say here on the record, ControlUp's really a data company, right? It's what you can do with that real-time data and the historic data, and applying machine learning to that. I think it's got really fascinating implications for the whole industry.
So I was talking to one of the customer, and I ControlUp customer, and I asked him what his experience is on ControlUp, and this was after 3 weeks, 4 weeks when they have been using this product. So I said, tell me, you have been using this product, different competitive product in last 2-3 years. How would you define ControlUp? And he said, ControlUp is like going to ER. You go there, you are in pain, you want medication right away. And other competitive products are like going to a specialist visit. You need to get MRI done, you need to get this thing, and you need a specialist to read those reports.
Right.
So is this what your vision is, that moving forward you want to make it so self-sustained, remediation, auto-healing, all those things, that when your data comes in, it's not about pain that you're managing, but it's more about experience that you're delivering?
Exactly. Well, I think if you look at the origin of the company, interestingly, like my origin story, the founders of ControlUp, they started as solution providers. So they started coding on the nights and weekends to fill some of the holes in the Citrix product, and also trying to figure out how their professional services team could get a faster troubleshoot, more visualization of where the issues could be inside of a VDI environment, right? And so the heritage of the company is this product-led growth, which, before I joined ControlUp, I'd heard this word product-led growth, and I didn't quite understand what it means, but it means exactly what you suggest, right? Like the idea that you can download this product, and within minutes, you can be, fixing problems. And I think the one big difference about ControlUp, right, is that you're not looking in the rearview mirror. It's like being in the hospital and being plugged in to like all the most sophisticated tools so that they can visualize your health right now, not looking at a blood sample that's a month old, right? We're looking at it right now. And the clock speed is every 3 seconds, right? And it's been fun to, sort of expose that. Even some of the analysts, are like kind of shocked at, the technology that we've built at ControlUp that allows that real-time clock speed.
So in your vision, are you going to go beyond user experience, like looking into data into cloud and seeing if we can go one layer down into more of landing zone and those kind of information as well? Or
so, I mean, I think today really our idea is any device, anywhere, and any application as well, right? And it's about not only being able to look at it from a performance perspective, but also a compliance and security perspective. And I think our goal is to be the company that's the most accessible. A lot of the DEX tools today, you need to understand proprietary languages and scripting, and you need
Yep.
years of professional services every time you want to build a new dashboard or come up with a new workflow. And so I think our heritage is such that we want to have a product that's very easy to unbox, very intuitive, and is available to all sectors of the market. I know that as XenTegra, you guys are doing a lot of work with smaller and medium-sized customers. I would say that's one of the things ControlUp really prides ourselves on, is that we have 2,000 customers now, and many of them are kind of mid-market customers. You look at our competitors in this space, they really focus up-market,
Yep.
in sort of the 25,000 seat and higher enterprise, which is great. But I think Dex, we want to be the Dex for everybody.
Just changing gears real quick. Something I ask any leader, coming out of COVID, going into COVID, everybody went home. Coming out of COVID, everybody kind of went back to the office. But from a cultural perspective, with your time at Aryes and your time at ControlUp, what is the right work model? Is it work from anywhere, work from an office, work from home, or is it a hybrid?
I mean, I really think this comes down to like what you're trying to get done. I'm not a hard and fast rule. I will tell you from my perspective, and maybe I'm a little old school in this way, certain roles in an organization I think are more suited to being in an office face to face. We've opened an office here in Fort Lauderdale that we're excited to bring our kind of entry level digital sellers and our SDRs and our renewals people, people that are making those outbound calls. Some of them are their first job out of college. So like for me, I feel like those jobs, people really benefit from being shoulder to shoulder. Mm-hmm. Certainly from a marketing perspective, we also learn a lot like that we can't learn even with fun tools that we have now like Course and Gong where you can listen in. There's still something about walking around and hey, what's working, what isn't working, real time. So yeah, I guess I'm a big believer in culture. And I guess I believe in shoe leather management still, which is a pretty old school term. But this is how you build energy, and I think it goes back to again it's as old as time. Humans build trust when they're together, and that's why events like Disrupt are important because we break bread, we build trust, and then we can work together on the Zoom, and we have kind of we've built up a level of trust. So. I also think the same holds true in innovation, right? When you're building a product, you can do certain things over Zoom, and there's certain companies that have succeeded in building stuff, but I don't know. I think you still need that regular human touch. We're just wired. We haven't completely unwired our need to see the whites of each other's eye and break bread, and it's part of the human condition.
A technical question that is, we always hear about the year of VDI. Was it 2005, 2015? Are we living it now? From the data you're seeing in your role, when is the year of VDI? Is it coming?
Oh, this is a great loaded question. I mean, I do think that the things that Microsoft are doing and the things that you see from Scott Manchester that you'll see here at this event around making Windows an application, that's where I think the world of VDI is headed, right? It's this idea that it can consume Windows no matter what device you are, wherever you are, right? It can consume Windows as an application. That is where I think the world is going, and I think the world will see more of that than they've ever kind of contemplated as we flip to Windows 11, right? And we have the opportunity at every one of these sort of refreshes to contemplate how Windows is consumed. And I think Microsoft has quietly built a very big business around Windows 365 and AVD, and I think there'll be a lot of motion there for people to further invest in this. And I do firmly believe that I've lived through a lot of different cycles of Windows, XP and 7, and you can see these patterns, right, that are very healthy for the end user compute ecosystem. I firmly believe this will be a super cycle. I think you're going to see, because of all the old hardware that was sort of chaotically acquired during COVID, because of the AI chipsets and the AI keyboards and the things that Microsoft are doing, especially around licensing with the AVD and Windows 365, I just firmly believe that you're going to see a super cycle that's going to be very interesting for the whole industry. And is it the year of VDI? I can't say that it'll be that,
I tried.
but I think it'll be a healthy 24 months for the industry, and that some of the pain that we've all lived through, I think some of that comes everyone's going to get healthier, hardware to software, the whole ecosystem.
Let me ask one final question. Sorry, Moin. You mentioned the 10 years out, is VDI an application?
That's how I see it. I think Windows becomes an application that's delivered out of Azure, and it's delivered to any device anywhere in a flawless way, right? And I think this is the vision of Microsoft, and obviously it's better for everybody from a security perspective, from a performance perspective, from a management perspective. You think about the lack of talent that we're all facing, right? In terms of I face it at ControlUp, just people that can code around VDI, right? But everybody, the entire food chain, from the resellers to the customers, I think that there's not enough. If you're in college today, you're not going to go chase after VDI, right? And so I think, the world has got to get to a place where the computer in the sky delivers Windows.
Yeah.
Good way of putting it.
With ControlUp, there is already tons of data that it collects, and it provides a lot of value. Your vision as a CEO taking on, are you going to invest more in R&D, or you're going to spend more on keeping it as it is because it is already robust?
So the lifeblood of every company is innovation, right? And so I think this is one of the things we pride ourselves on, is the ability to organically innovate. And I will say, part of the the dance right now at ControlUp, with me joining and our founder Asaf stepping back into kind of the product role, is actually this beautiful partnership that allows for the founder, who's really his magic. We all have magic zones. His magic zone is innovation and product, and product roadmaps, and building out amazing solution that's put us where we are today. So this is actually the fourth company I've worked with a founder, so that's also kind of a special skill that you need to have to be able to kind of walk alongside somebody who built something and help them scale it. So we're equally investing today in both continuing to do R&D, and I think in the last 90 days we've brought more innovation to market than we have probably in the last year, right? With our user entity dashboards, our security product, our AI chatbot, just a number of things. And we have more innovation coming on the back half of this year. So we are we're out of the norm benchmarks, I would say, in terms of our R&D spend. But I will tell you, part of the vision of ControlUp is to bring some of our product through the channel, up market as well, right? And not be completely product led, and be channel and partner led. So we're investing quite a bit right now in up-leveling our go-to-market motions around marketing and sales. So there's a lot of investment happening right now there.
Anything in ControlUp that you are able to share that you are thrilled about, that this is the functionality, be it chatbot, be it AI, be it cloud? What are you most thrilled about, that this is something that I'm looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell you, we feel like we have a strong moat around our capacities in the world of VDI and DAS, and we're just going to continue to invest there, right? You're just going to continue to see our leadership position there. And some of the competitors in this space, I think they kind of look down their nose at this spot because of Citrix and VMware going private, and the private equity, and just sort of some of the chaos that's and then Microsoft's explosive growth is a little bit shrouded, so they don't. Some of the layman outsiders looking in don't maybe see the transformation that's going to happen, and so what I'm probably still most bullish about is our continued leadership there, our continued path around the physical side, right? Just continuing to enrich what we do there, and we have a world-class, modern, scalable, cloud-first architecture with Edge. So I'm bullish on both of these products. You're going to see some innovation. We'll continue to look at acquisitions. We have a lot of cash. We have more cash than any of the other players in this space.
Yep.
We're funded by the biggest venture capital firm in Jerusalem, JVP, Jerusalem Venture Partners, right? So we continue to look for good opportunities to add value to the platform, and I think you've seen us make great acquisitions that have been sort of smaller tuck-ins. So yeah, you look for us to be aggressive, both with the innovation that we're bringing organically, but also with continued acquisitions, and then fueling it all with an up-level, channel-led go-to-market strategy.
So just one more comment on the same note. So we talked about innovation and R&D. What about other players like Parallel, WorkSpot, Cameo, all these? Are you looking to open it up that it becomes more agnostic to whichever player comes in? We are going to give you exact same.
Yeah, we are working with all these players actually. In fact, right? We have a great relationship with Dizzion. We have a great relationship with Parallels. And so, yeah, our goal is to be multi-platform, multi-protocol. I think this is a big part of the advantage to the customers and the partners, right?
Yeah.
Is we can meet people where they are. And ultimately, we actually want to bring back to your original question about community.
Yeah.
We're working on launching something next year, which we think will be very big. We're going to have a DEXI conference early 2025, right? Which will bring together the sort of the world that we know here from Disrupt, but we'll also bring the modern endpoint management world, which is kind of a very exciting universe to itself, right? We think there's an opportunity to bring both of these communities under one tent, and this is actually part of my what you asked me what gets me excited, right? Is to bring these two populations together, right. In a world where the ultimate goal is to reduce the overhead on security and management, and ultimately at the same time also improve performance. And this is a nirvana state, right? Because I would tell you we're in this hamster wheel of challenging user experience and more cost and agents and tools layered on top of each other. And I think with AI and real-time data, we can disrupt this. And that's we're still going to have these bigger tools like ServiceNow and Intune, but that data can enrich, and that's one of the things that I think has also got me really excited is just like when we brought iGel to the US, forming stronger partnerships with Microsoft and with HP and with ServiceNow, and that's really where we're focused, to bring our data into those tools.
You mentioned AI a few times, so it sounds like you guys are leaning into AI very heavily within ControlUp to digest the data. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. So today, when you look at kind of like one of the biggest values of ControlUp is that when you see something that's a repeating anomaly, you can write a script and automate it out, right? But it takes a human being to see that and realize that, okay, next time that browser cache is full, let's write a script and clear it, right? So on any given week, we run about 10 million automated actions. They take a lot of cost out. They improve the performance, less people having to open trouble tickets, less people having to try to solve problems, right? So when you think about AI and getting a confidence that we can turn that 10 million into 100 million, and we can also attack security issues. We can attack a lot of things that I'm sure you see when you look at your inbox and you're like trying to digest. A human being can only work at a certain clock speed, right? So like applying our real-time data with good AI, and AI that's not being trained on the internet, and it's being trained on the data that's coming from your devices. I think there's some amazing implications that come out of that, right? Like that are very disruptive. And there's also some like very interesting things from an HR perspective that I also believe will happen, because you think about hundreds of millions of people that work at home. We talked about this, right? Those people have a persona. They have a digital footprint, if you will, right? In terms of the apps they use, and kind of you can build sort of a benchmark, if you will, of what it looks like to be a a sales rep, in the United States for XenTegra. And where I think it gets really interesting is also being able to sort of see when you have people that are moving outside of the boundaries of that, where you can actually flag it, right? Where it's like, hey, this person might be having a challenge, might be something personal or family related, or this person's on the other end of the boundary, right? They're working too much, they're going to burn out, right? And so I actually would tell you, like, the breadcrumbs that you're going to get from this digital, once you sort of like really start to understand the digital footprint, there's a lot you can do with that, right? That isn't employee snooping, monitoring kind of a thing, right? It's more like around engagement and trying to like actually take care of your employees, right? And using their digital kind of fingerprint as a proxy, especially when you're talking about companies at scale, right? That have hundreds of thousands of employees. This data can be used for good, is how I see it, right? To like really drive a level of engagement, where there is also a lot of cost also, right? Like, you may not know that you have a sales rep that has an issue. It may take 90 days for you to sort of see that, but you might have a way to see it digitally before you would otherwise. So there's an HR component to this. It gets a little softer, right? Our guys love to talk about the tech and how they're going to help the IT guy solve a very technical problem. But I do think there's a very interesting HR onboarding, engagement, sort of digital health and wellness that also comes into focus with this data.
I think definitely this is something forward-looking. If we can simplify, life is getting so hectic with day-to-day, that if we can simplify these things and convert all these reactive to proactive, I feel that's where ControlUp gives that proactiveness, that before end user complains, we already know what the problem is. Let's just grab it and then talk about onboarding, offboarding, making life easy for administrators and also for our end customer. So that experience is something that this is something that users know well before anyone knows.
Yeah.
And then ControlUp becomes your ears and eyes into that account when
exactly. I mean, I will leave you guys with this. I think experience is like a mindset, right? Where companies that like really lean into it, we've already seen the revolution that happened probably like in the mid 2015 timeframe, right? Where all of a sudden you started seeing this investment in customer experience, customer experience officers, and people started rethinking how their organization was wired to like elevate customer experience.
Yeah.
I think coming through COVID, people realized, wait a second, you can't really deliver great customer experience if you don't have an equally big focus on employee experience, especially because at the moments where they're interacting with the customer, that moment that matters, you need to make sure they're equipped with the right digital tool set, and they're getting the right fidelity of that experience. And I think you've seen that companies that prioritize customer experience, they grow faster, they're more profitable, they're higher retention of employees. So that same mindset of customer experience, I think you're going to see it applied to employee experience. And I'm already seeing it. I've been on a couple sales calls recently where the entire group of that's managing endpoint, used to be EUC or VDI, you're actually seeing workspace experience in the titles of the individuals and of the department. So I think there's a shift underway already, an experience mindset.
Yeah. So I have one last question, Jed, off topic, but
good.
Everything you talked about experience, but how do you, as a person, as a CEO, how do you manage to? So I know, as a channel, if I register a deal, I get an email from you that thank you for registering. When we sell a license, we get a notification. When a customer, and I had one customer, he got note from you. He was so excited that I got email from Jed personally that we transacted. How do you manage to balance all these things out?
I mean, I love to be around the community, as we talked about, right? And I think you get fuel from being close to the ground, right? Like, your best ideas and your most informed position comes from back to our idea of walking around. We can't walk around to every customer today, especially with 2,000 customers, and we added 85 new customers last month, right? So part of my goal is to get as much information and have as many relationships as I can, and be as accessible as I can, right? And so that's been something that I've prided myself on, and I can only tell you it's a virtuous circle, right? Because what happens is, inevitably the guy who is astonished that I sent him an email, has an issue down the road, or he ends up going to another, hospital, and he knows how to get a hold of me. And I think that's, my strategy as a CEO is to be humble and to be accessible. And maybe it won't serve me forever, but certainly in the size company that ControlUp is today, what we're trying to accomplish, there's no better sort of place to be than sitting in front of a customer or a partner and getting that sort of direct level feedback and giving them the sort of, hey, if you need something, you don't have to go through 4 levels to get to me.
Right? Yeah. So we talk about leader first and servant leader, and that's where I see that the fine balance where you talked about leading as a leader, and then being more of a servant leader where you are reaching out, you are making yourself available to your end customers. They reach out to me, bypass everything, and I feel this is amazing, and this is something that any young generation, any budding leader, they should learn, and they can pick up from. And I learn a lot from you. When I see those messages that you respond to, I really feel thrilled that at least it gives me that energy that, okay, I need to go and talk to more customers and make myself available. So really appreciate you talking about it and leading by example.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, I would just say to anybody out there that's watching this, right, you can never go wrong with talking to a customer.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's where I think about some of the greatest innovation that I've ever been involved with. It usually is born out of some customer, some requirement that they might have that ultimately becomes something quite extraordinary and scalable. So, yeah, you're never going to go wrong talking to employees, partners, or customers, especially as a CEO.
Yeah.
And Jed, I think we're out of time, but listen, I just want to thank you on behalf of XenTegra for taking the time out and doing this with us. I'm sure the audience is going to be thrilled to hear the insights, because it's certainly eye-opening for me, some of the stuff we talked about today. So thank you again.
Oh, Barry, well, thank you, and thanks for all that you guys do. I know you have a lot of great podcasts, and you spend a lot of time having good conversations. So I'm honored to be here, and honestly, very honored to have XenTegra as a partner. You guys do it differently than a lot of other people out there in terms of the long view that you take, and the community aspect, and just the integrity that you guys bring. So thank you so much for having me.